You're good.
Oh,
And you're good.
I was just adjusting my belt here. Did you guys see anything? Did you?
no. I missed it this time.
I didn't know that was going to be part of a bit. That really threw me off.
Oh, thank God. I just adjusting thing. The underwear is a little snarled up there. My panties were in a bunch.
I understand.
You didn't see anything, did you? Ooh, thank God.
Not this time. I mean, why do you think I log on late some mornings? Because I want to turn off the webcam.
That could have been a career changer. That could have been great. We'll get into the most hilarious scandal of recent times. I have to admit, I'm going to tell you why the downfall of Jeffrey Toobin is a good thing for decent people, for polite society. I'll explain to you why this is karma and why he's a total scumbag and why this is hilarious. There's nothing sad about it. You'll hear people on CNN probably say, "Oh, it's sad what happened to Jeffrey Toobin." It's not sad. It's funny and it's good and it's karma. And I'm enjoying it. And I need to ask you guys. I need to ask Reamer and Cullinane to explain some of this to me because I'm a little confused on it. I'm also confused. We got the latest on the Hunter Biden scandal, one of the wildest scandals in political history.
Sorry. I'm already falling asleep. You mentioned Hunter Biden. I mean,
goodness. I'm sorry. That's falling. Yeah. I could see why you'd be falling asleep. A guy, with hookers and cocaine and selling the access to the White to communist China.
It's so boring.
Not real sexy at all.
No,
it's serious.
It's really boring.
It is amazing that 65 million people are going to go vote for the guy who has literally made millions selling his access to him to the communist Chinese. But we'll get into that. I'd love to hear a good defense of this from a journalist, because it's not just a political scandal. It's a journalist scandal, a journalism scandal. Also, 50 Cent, my favorite rapper, has endorsed Donald Trump. We'll tell you why. And is there a bigger asshole on planet Earth than Michael Savage? I'm not sure. We'll ask that question and we'll tell you what Savage had to say about dying Rush Limbaugh. You won't believe it. I mean, he's just the worst. But we'll get into all that on the Callahan podcast, brought to you by DCU, Digital Federal Credit Union. Love your car, but hate your car payment? No problem. Refinance your car today with DCU, and they can help lower your monthly payments, lower your interest rate, or both. Applying is easy, and their loan experts will help you find the loan term and the payment that fits into your budget. Get out of that high-rate loan and get the interest rate and the payment you deserve from DCU. Learn more and apply today at dcu.org/refinance, insured by NCUA. Membership required. All right, I know there are people listening to this podcast who hate when I say this, but Alex Reamer is here today. Dave Cullinane's here today. Reamer, I don't care what people say. As I say this all the time, I am fascinated by someone like you who is a journalist. I mean, you went to journalism school. You've been in journalism. Now you write for various publications. You do my podcast. You do various other podcasts. I mean, you understand. I mean, you didn't really go to a real college. You went to BU, but you know what journalism is. And you
see what a waste of money journalism school is if I am a product of it.
It fascinates me that someone who considers himself a journalism doesn't want to hear anything about this Hunter Biden, Joe Biden scandal, which is, if you were a journalist, it would be the biggest story in the world to you.
So if I was a journalist, like the journalist at the New York Post who worked on the story and then didn't want their name on it because they were...
That is true, according to the New York Times, which, again, you can't believe a word in the New York Times. The New York Post, as I said, is the biggest newspaper in America, the best newspaper in America.
That's not true at all, Jerry. It's not the biggest newspaper in America. The New York Times and Washington Post have far more subscribers.
Remember, they don't count. They're not newspapers. They're not newspapers.
They're PR. They're propaganda.
They're just PR wings of the Biden camp.
Right.
You know that.
Right. So the New York Post, Jerry, which is owned by Rupert Murdoch, and these articles were written, and the byline was a former producer of Hannity who had never had a byline in the New York Post before. Yeah, the New York Post is not in the bag for Trump. You're right.
Hold on.
Totally.
Hold on, Reamer. Hold on. Who cares? What does it matter what byline?
Well, I'm just saying, you said New York Times is a propaganda outfit. Fine. But Jerry, let's at least call the New York Post what it is. I mean, come on.
Okay, Reimer, I can't believe this. Again, I'm glad you're here because you're insane. This is unbelievable to me. You're nitpicking, criticizing the story, or invalidating the story because of whose byline is on it. Who cares if it said
no?
If it said Mickey Mouse, who cares whose byline?
I'm validating the story because A, I don't think it's true, and B, go ahead.
Hold on, Alex, please, one at a time, okay? This is going to be like Thursday's debate. We're gonna have.
I'm pulling down my pants. I'm gonna pull a tube in. Hold on.
Hardcore Democrat with the mute button anytime Trump speaks.
Okay, yeah, and can we talk about this too? I have a lot to get to with you here today.
Hold on, Alex, please. Are you like especially wired today?
Yes.
I want to hear from you.
I'm on the same steroids that Trump is on. I'm ready to go.
I need to hear from you because this to me is bizarre. I mean, you're an idiot, but you're not a complete moron. You don't care about the story because somebody's byline was on it and they didn't. Well, let me just say, the reason they don't want it is because they'll get doxxed. They'll get attacked. You can't do journalism in this day and age if it hurts Joe Biden, or you'll get hurt professionally, personally. I don't blame someone. It's a great story, but there are people from the New York Post out front, and you should be saluting them. They are digging in their heels. Twitter, which I hope Jack Dorsey has to appear before the Senate this week. I hope they grill him. Please tell me they're going to grill him. It's the most insane example of election interference I've ever seen. What Twitter is doing. The Twitter account of the New York Post is still locked. They still can't tweet because they dared report a story that is damaging to one party, to one guy. It's completely filled with facts. It's been verified. There's nothing flawed or dishonest about it. And they can't tweet. They can't even tweet out their story because Twitter is so in the bag for one candidate over another. But I need you to be honest. You know this isn't Russian disinformation, correct?
Our intelligence officials say it is.
No, they don't. They said just the opposite. John Ratcliffe which is rare, went on TV and said Russia has nothing to do with this.
John Ratcliffe, who's Trump's self-picked head of DNI. I have a headline from Politico. Hunter Biden's story is Russian disinformation, dozens of former intelligence officials say.
Okay, that it is not true, and you know it. I mean, this is what drives me nuts. And everything you do, lots of things you do drive me nuts. But you know it's not true. You know there's nothing about Russian. This has nothing to do with Russia. It's a lie. It's a lie.
So Jerry, there's a number of things. Let's first start with the first premise. You believe that Hunter Biden, or purportedly Hunter Biden, brought this laptop to a repair shop in Delaware, never picked it up, and the owner gives it to Rudy Giuliani's attorney. I mean, that story doesn't raise red flags to you.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Of course, he brought it to the. Yes, of course, it's what happened, Alex.
So that is believable to you that Hunter Biden, as fucked up as he is, would leave a laptop at a random repair shop in Delaware, and then that owner somehow just happens to know Rudy's attorney.
Well, no, he went to the FBI first. He brought it to the FBI almost a year ago, but the FBI is so corrupt, they did nothing with it. He brought it to Mike Lee. He did nothing with it. Finally, this is 8-9 months after he brought it to the FBI, and no one did anything with it. He brought it to Rudy Giuliani. Now, that's obviously
seems a little strange to me.
Okay, why? I don't even understand. What do you mean? I need you to help me with this. How are the Russians involved?
Well, they could have hacked. They could have hacked the emails.
What, Alex? It's already been verified. The other people on the email chain have already verified it. They didn't hack the emails. Did they somehow set him up with those pictures?
Just because they hack the emails doesn't mean the emails aren't true. I mean, they verified.
I was wrong. I give up. I thought Alex was going to be honest enough as a journalist to say.
But honestly, that's all a sideshow, Rush. I don't really care whether it's Russian or not. I mean, my point with Hunter Biden is that even if this is all true, that Biden did meet with this Burisma executive. And by the way, I think Hunter Biden was obviously using his father's name to make money. There's no way he deserved to be on the board of that company for $50,000 a month. Of course, Hunter Biden was using the office of the vice president. But I would say every rich kid does that. Everybody does. And the grift of the Trump kids, I mean, come on. We can't talk about Hunter Biden and ignore what's been happening for 4 years with the Trump kids. It's disingenuous. It's ridiculous.
Are we moving on?
So frankly, I don't care about the Hunter Biden story because it is small potatoes.
Small potatoes. So you think a sitting vice president taking a kickback from the communist Chinese and hosting them in the White House, that's small potatoes?
Okay, I don't know that part. I don't know that part of it. I don't know about the kick. I just know that these emails allege that Joe Biden met with this Burisma executive after Hunter Biden introed them, right? So.
And it's obviously he demanded the firing of the prosecutor who's looking into Burisma, his son's company.
But we don't know why. But Jerry, Obama administration officials have said, and international officials have said, that prosecutor Victor Shokin was fired because he was not investigating corruption in Ukraine, not because he was.
No, he was investigating Burisma. I mean, the guy is still.
He wasn't though. He wasn't investigating Burisma. He wasn't.
Yes, he was.
He was not investigating.
Joe Biden is on videotape demanding they fire him or they don't get the $1 billion in foreign aid. It's on videotape.
Okay. We have a president of the United States whose children are running the Trump organization, making money off the Trump organization, and foreign dignitaries, foreign leaders are staying there. They're using the power of the presidency to enrich themselves, to starve off all this debt that he owes. I mean, come on.
First of all,
small potatoes.
You want to talk? First of all, you're just making that up as you go along. It just amazes me. Why can't you admit that your candidate is an absolute mess? He's taken the week off. There are 2 weeks to election day. Here it is. It is Tuesday, October 20th, and the election is in 2 weeks. And your candidate's taken 4 days off, going home, putting a lid on it.
So what? I don't care. I mean, I've come to the conclusion a long time ago. Joe Biden is like this water bottle. I mean, that's fine. He's up by 12 points. Unless he looks like he's going to kick your guys' ass. I mean, so
your
fine.
Guys' ass. Okay.
Put a lid on it for 2 weeks. I don't care.
You don't care. Do you worry? Do you worry? Because I would be worried. First of all, he's totally corrupt. He's totally dishonest. Secondly, I hate to break it to Jake Tapper, but he's in cognitive decline. He can't handle the campaign trail.
Jerry, they're both in cognitive decline. They're both insane. I mean, come on.
I mean, I'm not saying Trump's not insane, but he's not in cognitive decline. He's on top of his game. He's doing 3 rallies a day.
Amazing.
Does it bother you? Does it bother you as a journalist? Again, I think I'm giving you too much credit because you're first and foremost,
I'm not really a journalist.
First and foremost, you're like an Antifa soldier, for Christ's sake. You're insane. Secondly, the media had access to him for a brief moment the other day on Sunday. He was getting a milkshake with his granddaughter, and I believe he bought some of the media people milkshakes, and they love him for it. They love him. And one media member dared, first of all, they asked what flavor milkshake. That was a tough question. And even that question, I don't know if you can get that, Cullinane. We played it yesterday, but I want to play it again because even that question, what flavor did you get, Mr. Biden? He couldn't handle that. He's
milkshake, didn't we? Yes, we did, sir. Got everybody? Yes, they're in the car, sir. All right. We got them. See, look. Mr. Biden, what flavor did you get?
We got 1 vanilla, 1 chocolate, but I wanted to get what we call black and white, but we're going to move it. In other words, we're going to split it.
And one more question.
So what flavor did you get? We had 1 chocolate, 1 vanilla, and we were going to get black and white, but then we were going to move it. Blah, 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 blah. He can't even answer that question
Jerry, come on. That was fine. This is ridiculous.
That was fine? That was fine?
Yeah.
Jerry,
of all the things to pick on, I mean, really?
What? I'm picking on the media, stupid. I'm saying.
Yeah. Can we talk about the media? Go ahead, because I have something I actually really want to say.
You're a media critic. Again, I think I'm giving you too much credit, but they have access to him for 30 seconds. And one of the questions is, what flavor milkshake did you get? Anyway, they follow it up with a question. It shouldn't even say with a question. The guy got 3 letters out, not a word. He said FBI, and Biden ran for the hills. And worse, the other media members who were standing there started laughing. It is, I mean, I said this yesterday, I'll say it again. Journalism is dead. The media has gone round the bend, to quote their hero, Joe Biden. They're an embarrassment. This guy's embroiled in a scandal. We have the...
What scandal?
Alex, I'm sorry. I generally think you will read up. You'll do your homework.
Jerry, honestly, nobody even understands what you're talking about. I mean, this Hunter Biden thing is
it couldn't be simpler.
Jerry, it's not Hillary. It doesn't stick. It's like, it's a terrible, terrible encore from 2016. Everyone's leaving the amphitheater. Nobody's around. Yes, they're trying the same thing that they did in 2016. They're saying lock him up instead of lock her up. It's not working. It doesn't stick. This is a boring scandal.
What are you talking about? A terrible encore of what does that even mean?
They're trying to pull out the same things they did in 202016 with Hillary and the emails, the corruption, and it worked because Hillary is Jerry.
Podcast, or this isn't your Boston Magazine column. Here we're going to tell the truth. Here we're going to give you some facts.
So you don't agree we should have daylight saving all year long? I mean, come on, Jerry.
But the fact is, this isn't even disputable. Here's the amazing thing. We've moved on from disputing the facts to just complete cover-up mode. Complete cover-up.
I'm not covering it up. I'm telling you, I think Hunter Biden did not deserve to be on the board of Burisma. I think Hunter Biden used his father's position to try and make money, and I don't give a shit. That's my position on it.
Okay, if you paid attention, if you even looked at the emails, I know you think they're Russian, which is insane, but so some of the emails pertain to China, communist China. And in the deal, Hunter gets $10 million a year for introductions, just introductions. And he has to kick 10% up to the big guy. That would be Joe Biden. That would explain how Joe Biden lives like Kanye West. Mansions everywhere. I mean, mansions everywhere. A guy who's been a government employee his whole life is insanely wealthy. That's because he's taking money. It's clear. And you could still vote for him. You could still elect him.
I already did. Voted yesterday.
Oh, good. But you don't want him to even answer a question about it? You don't think he should even answer a question?
He should answer a question right after Trump tells us all the money that his kids have made off the presidency.
Unbelievable to me. Unbelievable. I have an alleged journalist.
It's small potatoes, Jerry. It's small potatoes.
Small potatoes? A guy taking money whilst sitting in the office of the vice president, taking money from communist China.
You think it's China? I have a number for you. Go ahead.
Not only is that not small potatoes, that's disqualifying. He shouldn't even be. Yes, that's disqualifying.
Okay, so how about from the great Joan Vanaki here, Ivanka Trump? The Chinese government has granted 41 trademarks to companies linked to Ivanka Trump. They got approved 40% faster after 2016 than before 2016. So that's just one small example of the Trump children making money off of China.
We're gonna since Alex is completely bought in, he's drank the cool.
I haven't bought in. I told you the emails are real. I think the emails are real.
If you're going to be honest, you say this guy who is a coward, by the way. Biden is a coward. He won't stand there for 1 minute and explain it.
Okay, Jerry. Jerry, Joe Biden has lost his wife. He's lost his son, and he's still here standing. How about you? I would like you lose your wife and your son and still be there standing like Joe Biden. I mean, really. He is not a coward.
Sit down?
What'd you say?
Because he lost his wife 40 years ago, he's allowed to take bribes from China?
No. I don't think he's a coward.
Okay, why won't he face the media and answer the question? He's walked away. He wouldn't even
because he wasn't given.
Started asking the question and he walked away. But anyway,
okay. So who would be the Democratic equivalent of Rudy Giuliani and Steve Bannon? Loretta Lynch and whoever. Susan Rice. So let's say they, get some hacked emails and bring it to the New York Times. The New York Times publishes. Would you like Donald Trump to answer those questions? No, you wouldn't.
You know who the equivalent of Rudy Giuliani would be? Everybody in the mainstream media. They have all this. His rapid response team is the mainstream media. This is the most dishonest effort I've ever seen in media. And I'm not talking. I mean, you're reading the Boston Globe. They don't count. They're irrelevant. I'm talking Washington Post, New York Times, ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN. All of them completely in the tank. They know this is Russian disinformation. And yet they parrot this ridiculous line, this lie from Adam Schiff and Chris Murphy, that sleaze from Connecticut, who says, obviously this is Russian. It is not, and they know it's not. They're just lying. And people will repeat the lie if it helps Joe Biden. I'm sorry for even bringing that up. Someone like you should, who's been through this, who's, I don't want to say been canceled, but you've been close. It should bother you. Does it bother you what Twitter and Facebook and the big tech bullies are doing? Does that bother you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't think the story should have been censored at all. I think that's a very slippery slope. I mean, hacked materials, Edward Snowden, that was hacked. Let's go on down the line. I mean, so of course, no.
Pentagon Papers were
Pentagon Papers, right. So I don't think they should have. And it made it a bigger story than it was, because if this thing wasn't censored on social media, honestly, Jerry, nobody outside of your Breitbart circle jerk would even understand what it is. So
it's true. They've elevated the story, which is a good thing. And they've elevated the New York Post, the only newspaper in America, but it is chilling. They suspended the spokesperson from the president. They've labeled, put warnings on the president's Twitter. If your guy Biden wins, big tech, it will have, it'll be open season on anyone who steps out of line. That should be chilling to you as a journalist. It should be chilling to everybody. I don't care how much you hate Trump. The idea that Twitter and Facebook, the two most powerful companies in the world right now, Google, Twitter, and Facebook, the three most powerful companies are just licking their chops, saying once we get rid of the orange man and once we flip the Senate, there's no stopping us. We will suspend anybody we disagree with. We will ban anybody. You want to talk about, oftentimes, and you know this as well as anyone, oftentimes slippery slope is used as an excuse. It's deceiving. This is the definition of a slippery slope. A year ago, Alex Jones was banned. And what did we do? We said, oh, that guy's nuts. Or Milo Yiannopoulos a couple of years ago, they're banned. Or Laura Loomer. And you say, those people are nuts, especially you, because they're conservatives. And you say, who cares? It's Milo Yiannopoulos. He's crazy. Who cares? A year later, they're banning the press secretary for the president of the United States. They're suspending regularly James Woods.
But she's James Woods, God forbid. But she's not really a press secretary. She's just a troll.
Stop, Alex. That's her job, press secretary.
But she's a troll. You know that. She's there to troll people.
So you have no problem with Twitter suspending the press secretary?
I don't think Kayleigh McEnany should be suspended, but let's not call her a press secretary. She's a troll. She's a White House troll.
I need to talk to my listeners here. My listeners, ladies and gentlemen, this is why I have Alex on. He's insane. He represents half the country right now, which is frightening. Twitter and Facebook are banning anybody and everyone. The press secretary for the United States, they're blocking the account of the only newspaper that's actually doing journalism, and Alex Reimer has no problem with it. I like crazy people. I like people who represent, the radicals out there. I used to be the radical fringe, but now it's the radical mainstream. Alex Reimer does not mind that Twitter is banning the press secretary of the United States, the president of the United States. He does not mind. They're banning mainstream conservatives, Charlie Kirk, because he doesn't like them.
Charlie Kirk.
You don't, Alex, the name is irrelevant. Let's make up a name. Charlie Brown. Okay. They banned Charlie Brown.
Even worse.
Because he said something Jack Dorsey doesn't like. And that doesn't bother you?
No, I mean, all I'll say is first they came for Alex Jones and I did not speak out. Then they came for Laura Loomer and I did not speak out. Then they came for the press secretary and I did not speak out. And then they came for me. So yeah.
When will you speak out? When they come for me? When they come for Turtle
No.
Boy, because they've already come for Turtle Boy.
Nah, Turtle Boy deletes his account on his own and just he makes it up. But he's
What?
yes, Jerry, I would, if they deleted your Twitter, I would follow you to Parlor. So I would. I'm always a Terry
They're
Callahan
not
follower.
deleting. They just what is it called when they just keep taking followers away? Every day I lose like 100 followers.
The purge. We're getting purged.
It's the purge.
I'm getting purged. And in a way, it should upset me more than it does, but I kind of feel honored. I feel like I've made it. They're
do you
purging
want-
me. They're coming after me.
And you have 600 followers now. That's it. Amazing.
I'm going to be there soon, pal. Trust me on this. But I think there's such hatred on your side for Trump, and it gets worse every day because he's getting cockier. He's getting a little jiggier on the trail. I mean, yesterday he went off on Fauci, calling him an idiot. He called Biden a criminal. Then he turned to the media and said, "You know who else are criminals? You are. You're criminals for not reporting it." Now that's all true, but it's not like real criminals like you'd arrest. But they're certainly immoral, unethical, and he's getting crazier, and it's bothering your side more. And it's like
He is getting crazier.
you've decided as a bloc, you and your 60 million crazy radical left-wing friends have decided that nothing matters except stopping the big bad orange man. If that means that we have to abandon our principles, if that means we have to lie about Russian information, if that means we have to support censorship by big tech, you're all in. That doesn't bother you at all.
What principles are we abandoning? I mean, is it like agreeing to a peaceful transition?
I don't know.
I mean,
free speech, the First Amendment, free press. I mean, things that used to matter. I understand they're not really important principles. You know, it's only the First Amendment. Pfft, who cares about that? We have to stop Trump. That's the way you are right now. You're saying, the hell with the First Amendment. We must stop Donald
I
Trump.
don't think the article should have been taken off of Twitter and Facebook. I told you that.
Okay,
I think
show
that was
me the column. You write columns every day. You got your own Substack newsletter.
I do. It's wildly successful. Yeah.
And how do you subscribe to that again?
Just sign up for an email. It's free for now.
Where do you? Jesus, Alex. How do you?
Reamer.substack.com. I have
If
my
you
own
want to read
URL.
the crazy person, and he writes, he's a good writer. You can
Thank you.
find it at Reamer.substack, Forbes, Boston Magazine. He's very, as I always say, the hardest working commie there is. Certainly harder working than his candidate for president.
Wow. I agree there.
And he doesn't think the First Amendment is all that important. It's not as important as
very
winning
important.
elections.
It's very important. I don't think anybody should be suspended off Twitter, but let's not act like Kayleigh McEnany is some distinguished public servant. She's a troll.
She's the friggin' press secretary for the president.
She's a glorified Newsmax pundit who's up on the White House podium. I mean,
you are
please.
hopeless. This is hopeless. I swear to God, you are hopeless. Here it is, and I explained this yesterday. I'm going to explain it again. We've reached the point, and this isn't a conspiracy theory because I don't do conspiracy. I don't like conspiracy theories.
You never know, right?
No, I don't. You know why? I'm talking like Alex Jones, like Sandy Hook, or idiotic things about the QAnon. Which you know what? I don't want to discuss this with you because you're crazy. You go off the rails. I'm with President Trump. I don't know what it is either. I don't care what it is. QAnon.
Of course he knows.
QAnon is not burning buildings. They're not blinding police officers. They're not beating people up. That's Antifa. That's Black Lives Matter. QAnon is not a factor. Neither are white supremacists.
Yeah, they're only shooting up pizza places. I mean, the pizza.
Oh, geez, yeah, that just happened. When was that again?
That was 4 years ago. But
4 years ago. Since then, your side has caused at least $2 billion in damages. They've murdered at least 24 people in these riots. But hey, QAnon's the problem. And you know what?
It is.
Which brings me to my next point, my next topic here, if you
Jerry,
will.
Trump's own FBI says that right-wing
I don't want to hear it. It's not his
biggest
FBI.
threat.
You want to blame Trump for one thing? It would be elevating this dirtbag, Christopher Wray, who had Hunter Biden's computer for the last 10 months. But anyway.
Yeah, and looked at his emails and fell asleep and said, this is boring. Let's move on.
Because you are not rational. You're not reasonable. You just go off the rails.
I
don't know what QAnon is. I don't know what it stands for. I don't know what it believes. There's
going to be a QAnon congressperson in Congress next year. So get used to it.
Then maybe I'll understand what the big threat is from QAnon. But I watch the news. I'm online all day. I see lots of damage done by Antifa and Black Lives Matter. I don't see a lot of damage done by QAnon. They shut up a pizza parlor 5 years ago. Anyway, the whole system right now, and maybe it's just for the next couple of weeks, because there's nothing more important than getting rid of the president that led us to the best economy in the United States history. There's nothing more important than get rid of the president that's got us out of all these endless wars. There's nothing more important than the president getting rid of the president who's raised the average household income $6,500, which is like 10 times more than Obama did over 8 years. Nothing more important. I understand, Alex, I'm speaking for you. There's nothing more important than get rid of that guy who has led us to this point where we are of peace and prosperity in America. We got to get rid of him. We got to get back to more regulation, higher taxes, and endless wars. That's important. But anyway.
Endless wars, Jerry. We're still in Iraq. We're still in Afghanistan. When have the wars stopped?
When's the last time, we've lost, a group of soldiers, a platoon in Afghanistan?
I'd have to read. I don't know.
Okay, hasn't happened. We're not losing soldiers every day. We're not losing Marines every day. We're getting out. He said
I don't think we were losing Marines every day 4 years ago, but we're losing Marines and soldiers.
We're getting out of Afghanistan.
We are. I guess it's been a slow
why we don't do it
out
today, but he said it. He's pissed off the generals. That's a good thing. Anyway, we're not embroiled in endless wars. This is a good thing. What Trump has done is a great thing. Anyway, because everyone just hates his personality and hates his tweets, and they hate the things he says, about their heroes. They hate the fact that he denigrates their hero, Hayden Biden. We must get rid of him, and I think it is the whole thing. Everything we see, everything we hear is designed to get rid of Trump, including the debate commission. One thing we have to give him credit for is he's exposed these scumbags at every level. Now we see in the media just how vile these people are. And we see in the debate commission, which I never gave a thought to, are a bunch of never-Trumpers and a bunch of liberals. It is rigged. The debate system is rigged. So far, there's been, how many debates have there been? There's been two.
It's been
one vice presidential debate and one presidential debate, both moderated by hardcore liberals who are hoping to get Biden and Harris elected. The second presidential debate was canceled. They knew it would be. The morning after Pence had his big victory over Harris, they released a statement at 7:30 a.m. This is a debate commission with a bunch of liberals and never-Trumpers like Olivia Snow and John Danforth and Jane Harman and all these people who hate Trump, who want Trump out. They released the new rules. They say it's going to be virtual, knowing Trump, A, would be fine to do it in person, and B, would not agree to a virtual debate. So they spared their guy, Biden, the embarrassment of a second debate.
Excuse me, Jerry. Biden is up by like 10 points nationally. He doesn't need to debate. Trump is the one who's behind and needs the debates.
Correct.
So,
Trump wants to debate. Biden doesn't. So the debate commission accommodated Biden. They got rid of the second debate. And by the way, the second debate moderator, a Trump hater named Steve Scully, turned out to be a total scumbag, a liar. This is good. A liar and a fraud who said he got hacked. And you know what's hilarious? Look at all the tweets from Scully's pals in the swamp saying, oh, if he said he was hacked, I believe him. And I'm looking at it going, you go with that, dude. You go with that because it's a lie. It's always a lie. It turns out it was a lie. He's been suspended. He'll be back, and everyone will say, oh, he made a mistake. But anyway, debate number 3, the final debate, the final.
Do you really think he should have been suspended for like tweeting at Scaramucci? Talk about things I don't even understand. I don't even understand that story.
Of course he should. That's Scaramucci's the leading Trump hater out there.
He was just joking.
He despises Trump, and he's coordinated with the guy who hates Trump.
Coordinating.
Anyway, he tweeted
at Scaramucci, should I talk to Trump? He was like trying to be funny or something.
For Joe Biden. He worked for Ted Kennedy.
But that's not why he was suspended. He was suspended.
He never should have been a moderator. He never should have been a moderator.
Jerry, you didn't even know who Steve Scully was 3 weeks ago. I mean, now we're acting like
I don't want to know. I know now. I did my research.
Yeah, he's a very influential figure. My thumb has more followers than Steve Scully.
He's a C-SPAN guy. Like Susan Page, just like Kristen Welker. Anyway.
Okay, see, this is what I love. Susan Page, Steve Scott. I mean, these are like E-listers who were ranting and raving about.
Democrats. Honest to God.
Susan Page. Do you know has anyone ever in the world read Susan Page? What is she? She's like a USA Today.
USA Today, which is a left-wing.
The USA. That's what they leave under your door. The USA Today is what they leave under your door at the Holiday Inn. It is not a left-wing anything.
Alex, it doesn't matter where they leave it. It's a left-wing rag who hates Trump.
It's
okay,
a left-wing
Susan Page hates Trump. That's a fact. Anyway, let me finish. On Thursday, we have the second and final debate. The whole damn thing is rigged. They now are giving this Kristen Welker, whose whole family are devoted liberals, Democrats, have given a fortune to Democrats. We already know she doesn't like Trump. We already know she's rooting for Biden. She's going to have her finger on the mute button. That, to me, is outrageous. I mean, So Joe Biden will not, if he dares ask him about Hunter Biden and the scandal, this incredible selling of influence to the vice president scandal, she can hit the mute button. That's it. Joe Biden only has to survive another hour and a half. It'll be 2-on-1. It'll be Kristen Welker and Joe Biden with Kristen Welker's finger on the mute button. That's incredible to me that Donald Trump or anybody is never going to be able to ask Joe Biden to explain this scandal. It's unbelievable, and I'm already ready to do the recap of Thursday's debate and talk about how unfair it was, because it will be unfair. The whole damn thing is rigged.
So we'll move off Chris Wallace and go to Kristen Welker. Is she the next target?
Yes. Well, I just said that. She's the one who's going to be teaming up with Biden to stop Trump.
Good. Yes. So Chris Wallace can sleep at night. At Jerry Callahan will stop harassing him on social media.
I will not. And this bothers the hell out of me. I know this doesn't mean much to you or anyone else, but I'm watching Hannity last night, and he's talking about how the whole debate thing is rigged, and it is. And he said this is two liberals in a row, Steve Scully and Kristen Welker, that they've had moderate these presidential debates. And I'm screaming at my TV going, what about Chris Wallace, your co-worker? This bothers me, Alex. This bothers me that everybody at Fox was given orders, do not criticize Chris Wallace. They know he's a scumbag, and they're not allowed to say it. Even Tucker couldn't say it. Greg Gutfeld couldn't say it. They all had Wallace's back, even though they know Wallace is a piece of garbage.
Corporate suck-ups. Tucker Carlson, a corporate suck-up.
Yep.
If he was at Intercom, he'd be, recapping the third inning to open up the show. He's a corporate stooge.
Amazing Cam Newton is. Oh, he's just amazing. He's got 2 touchdown passes after 5 games, but he's amazing.
It's raining, and he's bringing a raincoat.
Number one in the hearts. Number one. Anyway, this debate is going to push me over the edge. I'm going to be more unhinged than you Thursday night at about.
But they do have time to go back and forth. It's just 2 minutes after the topic, and then after each person's 2 minutes, they get to go at it. So
what's going to be funny is watching Trump when he gets muted, because here's what someone said: is obviously the big challenge. There's 2 challenges here. One for Biden has been able to talk coherently for 2 straight minutes. I don't think he's done that in decades. That could be funny. That's one disadvantage. Like when Trump interrupted in the first debate, it saved Joe Biden from having to put a thought together because he's a mess. Secondly, let me ask you guys this. If Trump is muted by Biden's surrogate, Kristen Welker, can he yell over it? Without a mic, will he be heard?
Yes, and it's going to be such a shit show, and it's going to be great.
There's no way.
I like shit shows. If he starts yelling, and Biden, first of all, Biden, everyone says Trump ruined the first debate. Obviously, that shows you true colors. Biden's the one that told Trump to shut up, called him a clown. Said,
"Oh my God, how mean!"
I got no problem with it, but let's not pretend it was Trump that got down in the mud. It was Biden.
Yeah, right.
Handle
it. Jerry,
Biden. I'm glad we agree, but
that's crazy.
But if he can yell over the mute button, it's going to be incredible. It's going to be entertaining as hell. But I think Trump is under orders. In fact, I heard one of his campaign spokesman, Steve Cortez, say that he will not get in the way when Biden starts going off the rails, like his train of thought goes off the rails. Trump is going to let him go, which will be tough for Trump. He's used to, butting in and interrupting. But I look forward to Biden attempting to put a thought together for 2 straight minutes. I don't think he can do it.
Yeah, exactly. I think Trump, as you mentioned, saved Biden from his own incoherence a couple weeks ago. So we'll see. But Trump is definitely going to be yelling without the mic.
It's going to be good. But here's the other thing. The other reason it's obviously rigged is she came out with the topics, Kristen Welker, and it was the usual crap.
Who, by the way, has deleted her Twitter, interestingly enough.
Is that true? Because
is that true? Somebody put that in the comment section yesterday.
And then Brian Stelter, who's like the voice, the Biden surrogate, when Biden goes into hiding, Brian Stelter handles all the the questions for him. He says that's disputed. Doesn't matter. She's a hardcore Democrat, just like Kelly, just like Page, just like Wallace. But she gave the topics, and thank God we finally get to talk about climate change. I'm looking forward to that and race relations. But this whole debate was supposed to be about foreign policy. They changed the rules because that right now is Trump's strength. He's got all these
he's so good at it.
Hold on.
She hasn't.
Tell me your complaint, your criticism of Trump on foreign policy.
She hasn't tweeted since like early September though, so she's been in hiding.
Answer. You just said
Trump. I don't know. He loves Vladimir Putin, President Erdogan, every dictator. He said originally China was doing a great job on the coronavirus, doing a great job. He said that originally. They have it under control.
What? He said he put a travel ban in place. Biden called him xenophobic.
Okay, I know. I'm sorry for winding you up. No, I mean, Trump is the biggest dictator kiss ass in the world. He's dumb. He's stupid.
You got these peace treaties that no one ever thought were possible in the Middle East.
Like what?
They don't mean much to me, but they're big. You got peace across the globe. You got NATO paying their fair share of the other NATO countries. You have one success after another, and they're not going to get into it. If they do, it'll be for 2 or 3 minutes.
I'd love to hear Trump talk about his foreign policy. That'd be really a treat.
And part of his foreign policy will be being tough on China. Well, the Bidens are taking millions, are selling the White House to China. But we can't do that. We got to stick to climate change. That's important. And of course, she will demand he denounce white supremacy. I can't wait. All right, we got more to get. How much?
Okay, but why? When did you turn into such a whiny little bitch? I mean, every single day you're complaining about Chris Wallace, Savannah Guthrie. Yesterday, crying about Joe Buck and Troy Aikman making a joke about the flyover. I mean, this is weak. This is weak sauce, Jerry. It is weak sauce. I mean, really, Donald Trump is the biggest he-man in the world, and yet he can't stand up against Savannah Guthrie, Susan Page, Kristen Welker. I mean, these are not exactly the best and brightest. These are like E-listers, as I mentioned, and I mean, Jerry, it's weak. It's weak.
Unlike you, I don't like a rigged game. I like a fair fight. This is a rigged game. When you have Savannah Guthrie. By the way, that was so bad. I think it worked in Trump's favor. She was so shrill and just.
Oh, come on, Jerry. She was giving a tough interview.
No wonder Dino hated you. You just can't let me finish.
Because you're just spewing garbage. I mean, Jerry, Savannah Guthrie gave a tough interview. You used to like those.
I hate to break it to you, Alex Reimer. It wasn't an interview. It was a town hall.
Oh, stop.
I love how Alex has no answer and he goes, oh.
People asked questions.
It was a town hall. She asked 43 questions. The town asked 10.
Such a whiny little fucking bitch. I mean, oh my God. Savannah Guthrie asked, you are a whiny fucking little bitch. Oh, Savannah Guthrie asked too many questions. They didn't let the town hall ask questions. I mean, Jerry, this is weak tea, my friend. You sound like a little child. That's what you sound like. Complaining about Chris Wallace for 3 weeks, Savannah Guthrie, Kristen Welker, little baby Jerry Callahan. Savannah Guthrie was just giving a tough interview. I mean, really.
Okay, are you through screaming, screeching?
I'm just saying that it sounds ridiculous. You sound ridiculous.
Okay, I'm starting
like a little child. Jerry Callahan, for those who don't know, used to be a radio host, and he used to like tough interviews. He used to give tough interviews. Now he just wants everyone to play patty cakes.
Okay, I'm going to do like Dino. I'm going to do like Kristen Wilk. I'm going to mute you if you don't shut up for a second. Again, you're screeching. You have no answer to this. It was a town hall, and the people in the town were supposed to ask questions because Savannah Guthrie, and I'll explain it to you if you'd like, because Savannah Guthrie was playing to her NBC colleagues who were upset that NBC counter-programmed ABC. She was playing to them, trying to placate them. She took over this. It wasn't an interview, Alex. It was a town hall. She's supposed to host a town hall, kind of like what Steffi Stephanopoulos did with his former boss, Joe Biden, sucking on his toes while pretending to be impartial. The people in ABC got to ask questions. Now, it was all rigged. You actually had an Obama speechwriter pretend to be an undecided voter and ask him about LGBT rights. So that was rigged too. But NBC did not do what it said it was going to do, did not let people in the audience ask questions. People were more upset that a woman behind Trump nodded and gave a thumbs up than all the questioners on the Biden town hall lied and said they were undecided when indeed they were Obama speechwriters and Democrat activists. But anyway, that's old news. Everyone knows that was rigged. Everyone knows Savannah Guthrie lied and went out there trying to placate Julie Louis-Dreyfus and Judd Apatow and the rest of the NBC people who were upset that they gave Trump the airtime. And by
honestly,
the way,
I thought Donald Trump was this huge alpha male, the most powerful, strongest guy in the world. Yeah,
really,
Jerry, it's weak. He can't handle Savannah Guthrie. I mean, really?
Okay, is that all you got? Really? Is that your only answer?
Yeah, because it's lame. It's lame, Jerry. Okay, it's a tough interview.
I literally tell you the facts. She asked 43 questions. The crowd asked 10. That's not how it's supposed to work. It's a town hall.
Oh my God! How mean and terrible. Donald Trump. Nothing ever goes his way. They're just. I mean, it's because it's just whiny. And Kirk says this too. This is what you've become. Is so whiny with this.
Alex,
it's ridiculous.
You got nothing. You brought
I've got everything. Jerry, if you are Jerry, okay.
This is your answer to everything is, oh, you're whining. Oh,
you are, Jerry. If your answer is counting the amount of questions that Savannah Guthrie asked versus the town hall people, you've got nothing, my friend. You've got nothing. If you're sitting there with your little tally, oh, that's too many for Savannah Guthrie, big mean Savannah Guthrie, who teaches us how to wrap Christmas presents in her day job as a Today Show anchor. I mean, if Donald Trump can't handle Savannah Guthrie, then woo boy, I guess he's not so tough after all.
I didn't say he couldn't handle her. What are you talking about? Honest to God, you got nothing today. You really get nothing. I give you facts and you sit there and go, oh, you guys are snowflakes. I mean,
you are a snowflake.
That's all you have.
Crying yesterday. Perhaps the low point was yesterday. You rage tweeting about Troy Aikman making a joke about military flyovers. Yes.
Rage tweeting. So I point out, I don't know if you have this, Cullen, but on a hot mic, Aikman and Joe Buck,
my good friend. Yeah, come on.
Criticize flyovers. And
I like when you guys can just get back down. Like, you can get all worked up, you can get back down. So that's nice. We're nice, calmer heads.
I mean, Jerry used to be a tough interviewer. He used to ask hard questions. Now he just wants everybody to, slap ass, which is, I'm always in favor of that. But I mean,
I don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, at the end of the day, reality is on this podcast, he has people that agree with him on majority of the time. So you come on, he fights with you. What's wrong with that? Just because he's giving his opinion on the news on his personal.
No.
You just think on your Twitter feed.
I just don't.
Could bring some facts to the table, but he doesn't. Alex, you got nothing.
No, I just don't understand why Jerry spends all of his time now complaining about D-list news media personalities.
What Jerry just said is,
I'm sorry, Alex, but that was the president of the United States on the stage. That was the leader of the free world. That had 20-something million people watching or watching online.
Or watch Biden. I mean, it wasn't getting the ratings.
I don't understand. But anyway, do you have the Aikman sound? Because Aikman and Buck agreed that they don't like flyovers.
That's a lot of jet fuel just to do a little flyover.
That's your hard-earned money and your tax dollars at work.
That stuff ain't happening with Kamala Biden ticket. I'll tell you that right now, partner.
Okay, I don't know what you're talking about, rage tweeting. All I did was point out that he doesn't think the Kamala Biden ticket, which is notable, will waste taxpayers' money the way that, obviously this administration is wasting taxpayers' money. As soon as I tweeted about it, I got 100 people saying they're not wasting any money. These are training missions, training flights that they take anyway, that they were going to fly around anyway. They have to get a certain amount of hours. So they go over the stadium, they time it. So the people at the stadium can enjoy it. So these guys don't know what they're talking about. Secondly, you don't find it notable that he said the Kamala Biden ticket? The only one else who said that was Kamala. But thank God he pronounced her name right, or we'd call him a racist.
Troy Aikman is astute political analyst as always. He knows what's up. I like to see that, though. Woke Troy Aikman and woke Troy Buck.
He's very sensitive. I'm expecting him to get back to me because last time I tweeted about him, I don't even tag him. And he got back to me.
Right.
He get up in the morning and search his name, and he'll probably get back to me and say he was just kidding. But it wasn't a big deal. I wasn't rage tweeting. I don't know what you're talking about. All right, we got to get to damn, we haven't even done Jeffrey Toobin. Would you just stop for a minute and let me get to these other topics? Jeffrey Toobin, 50 Cent, Michael Savage. We don't have enough time to do them all, but we'll do our best. First, though, I want to talk about Shea Concrete. Let me tell you what Shea Concrete can do for you. All right, now let's get back to this, Alex, because you're an expert on not many things, but masturbating on Zoom calls. I know you're very experienced in this. You get some insight. Question for you, Alex Reimer and Dave Cullinane. Yeah, I know you've thought a lot about this. Did Toobin do this on purpose? Because I think he did. I think in a way it was playing with fire. It felt a little dangerous, a little erotic. The story and the Vice story is amazing. It talks about him jerking off and how many people on the call saw it and what exactly they were supposed to be doing on this call. They have all the details. It said he tilted the camera down briefly to show his crotch area. He did this on purpose. He's a sicko. He's a kinky old man who did this for some cheap thrill. I honestly believe that, because can you imagine even taking a chance if you're going to give it a grab and knowing that you were just on a Zoom call and knowing, by the way, you're going to get back on another Zoom call, just taking a chance doing that in front of your computer?
What's kinky about that, by the way? Like even, Louis C.K. and like, why is that an attractive thing to make people watch?
I'm not, believe me, I don't see it. I don't feel it. I don't get it. But here's the story. They had this group, and they were simulating the post-election. They had people who were playing liberals, people who were conservatives, media, and they were pretending, how are we going to handle this post-election? And he was supposed to be the legal analyst of the courts. That's his job. Two people talked to Vice, and they said they both saw Toobin jerking off. That's the word used by Vice. The two sources described a juncture in the election simulation when there was a strategy session and the Democrats and Republicans went into the respective breakout rooms for 10 minutes. At this point, it seemed like Toobin was on a second video call. The sources said that when the groups returned from their breakout rooms, Toobin lowered the camera. The people on the call said they could see Toobin touching his penis. Toobin then left the call. Moments later, he called back in, seemingly unaware of what his colleagues had been able to see. A New Yorker spokesman said he's been suspended. CNN said he's taken some personal time to work out his issues.
Yeah.
Two questions. Did he do this on purpose? And what does it take to get fired at CNN? You are giving it a grab on camera in front of a bunch of women, and that doesn't get you fired?
I mean, maybe he was aroused. It was a New Yorker election simulation with Jane Mayer and all these people. I mean, wouldn't you be aroused?
And it's just so good to be a Democrat, to be a liberal. A conservative would have been fired in 10 seconds. 10 seconds.
Honestly, though, I am coming in defense of Jeffrey Toobin. He thought he was in between Zoom sessions. He gave it a grab. I mean, big deal. What's the big deal? When you have to do it, you got to do it. He was at his home. He wasn't in an office.
He was in a virtual office, which is the problem. I mean, I think they will
but he thought it was turned off. What do you mean?
I pointed this out on Twitter. I think it's important to keep in mind is if you're thinking about really enjoying this guy's anguish and pain and downfall, don't feel guilty at all. He's a piece of garbage. He really is. Jeffrey Toobin's been married to. He went to Harvard. He was a child of privilege. He's a little rich kid from New York. Has had everything handed to him his whole life. He married his college sweetheart, but that doesn't mean he's, a one-woman man. He cheated on her with his colleague's daughter. His colleague is Jeff Greenfield, another moonbat liberal. His daughter had an affair with Tubin. He knocked her up, got her pregnant. He tried to get her to get an abortion. She refused. Then he denied it was his child. She had to take him to court, get a DNA test, prove it's his kid. Then she had to take him to court for child support, and he finally, reluctantly, legally agreed to support his own child. He is an absolute scumbag. So this is karma, and this is not a bad thing at all. I'm enjoying it.
I think that everybody makes mistakes. We're at home, we're pent up, and he thought his webcam was off. I mean, it's actually comforting to me that other people do this while they're working, because I've written many articles during, between, after. So I can feel this.
He went on CNN, by the way. Like, he went on CNN on Saturday. This happened when? So he knew he was in deep shit, and then he still goes on cable television.
Well, you have that feeling in your stomach. It's like when I flew to the Super Bowl during the Brady thing.
Yeah, but you didn't know what the reaction was going to be. You can predict when you start masturbating, and you know that the entire Zoom call saw it. You know what the reaction is going to be. You know what the ramifications.
But you know what? Like, if you started masturbating right now, Dave, I really wouldn't care. I mean, I'd say okay.
I'm open to the idea right now. Actually,
somebody pointed this out on Twitter. I think it was Matt Taibbi. I'm a Matt Taibbi guy.
Yeah, you're a guy. Yeah.
He pointed out that it doesn't matter. Tubin's 60. He'll probably get another job because he's a liberal, and you're allowed to, recover from these things if you're liberal. And he hates Trump. Those are the most important things. He'll probably make a comeback, but when he dies, 20, 30 years from now, the lead of his obituary will still have two words in it: Zoom and dick, or Zoom and penis.
Well, he'll make a comeback because outside of Twitter, nobody's talking about it. Like, whether we like it or not, nobody's talking about the story. It wasn't on network news or anything like that.
I don't know that.
You don't think I have five television on my wall watching every nightly news show out there every single night?
He's gathering sound. He's working hard.
What I'm doing, it was not out there. I know it for a fact.
It's a little risque, and it just happened. I mean, it just happened. He's like,
yeah, we need pictures. Maybe once we get pictures, it'll get out there.
Great career from here on. He'll always be thought of as that weirdo who had to, jerk off in front of other people.
He didn't think he was doing it in front of them. He thought his camera was off.
Reminds me of when I just figured out that part of life, and I just always had to do it.
Yeah, right. He had to do it.
Is there anything less dignified than playing with yourself? I mean, the idea of someone seeing you do it.
Do you think he shares that computer chair with like his wife and family? I mean, saying buck naked.
I'm gonna guess things are a little icy, but it's nothing Mrs. Tubin hasn't been through before. She's had to deal with old tube steak Tubin for years now. So anyway, quickly, do you have a problem with 50 Cent endorsing Trump and voting Republican for one reason only: taxes? He looked at the taxes he's paying. It's outrageous. And under Biden, the tax plan is, if you live in New York City, you are going to hand over 62% of your hard-earned money. If you live in California, it's 62.6%. He looked at that. 50 Cent looked at that and said, I can't do it. I can't vote to give up 62% of my money. And he said, I'm going with Trump. Now, obviously, liberals can't stand that. They think somehow taxes are like charity, that the money you give to the government goes to a good cause, which to me is the most bizarre, insane way of looking at your tax bill. But are you upset that 50 Cent is on my side, Reimer?
Oh, you should just invest in some real estate properties and lose hundreds of millions of dollars, and then you won't have to pay any taxes. So that's what 50 Cent should do.
Well, that's one thing he could do. But I've since I was a kid, it just baffled me that people could vote, not just vote, but be passionate and support and campaign for someone who wants to take half their money or more than half their money. I mean, Joe Biden.
Well, it depends. I mean, if you're salaried, yes, but if you have investments, if you have investments, rather, if you have holdings, and you don't have to really pay taxes, as we know, no capital gains tax. So 50 Cent is screwed because he actually gets paid in salary.
There is capital gains tax, and I'm
it's
sure
very low.
It's not that low. It's incentive. You want people to invest. If you raise capital gains, there are fewer investments. It's bad for the economy. But whatever. The idea that you work hard, Reim, I'll give you credit for that you want to give more than half your money to the government.
I don't make that much. I do not have to give more than half of my money. I'm in the low tax bracket, baby.
You support a guy who's going to raise taxes on everybody.
Well, do you know, I really got screwed when I was full-time at WEI because I was making around $50K, and I was in the same tax bracket as people who were making like $80K. Which is ridiculous. There's a huge difference between $50K and $80K. So you want to got screwed on taxes, Jerry? Alex Reimer got screwed on taxes.
You're like 50 Cent and me. You're going to vote for the guy who's going to lower your taxes, Donald J. Trump. Good. Now, one last thing, and I have to say, I talk about this because I heard this live. I should say live. I heard it on his podcast. I heard Rush Limbaugh was giving an update on his health. And he's not doing well. You can tell when you listen to it. He's got stage 4 lung cancer. He's not going to be around much longer. He sounds genuinely depressed about it. And I think he got a mixed bag from his recent scans, and it just doesn't sound great. You know what that means to me, Alex? And I know you would agree. That means great radio. You know, if you're going to talk, a guy who got his scans, he's dying, and he's literally talking about what it means to get a death sentence from your doctor. I don't care who's doing it. It could be, Rush Limbaugh, or it could be, Rachel Maddow. It could be, Chris Hayes. There's no left-wing equivalent of Rush Limbaugh. They've tried. No one has been able to do it. But anyway.
Michael Smirkanish.
It doesn't matter who it is. They're talking about the Grim Reaper at their door, waiting, to take them away. They have this thing that's about to kill them. And it was great radio. It really was. I mean, I know you're not a Limbaugh fan. I don't listen every day, but he was literally talking about dying. And I think whoever does that, if they do it sincerely and they do it from the heart, you can't deny that it's a good, compelling listen. It's a good story, listening to someone talk, especially someone as famous as he is. I was amazed that this guy, Michael Savage, who's in the business, by the way, I haven't heard him lately, but he used to be on locally. Now I don't even know where he is, but he's a crazy right-winger. He comes out with a tweet that just eviscerates Rush for being, like selfish, I guess, or for whining. It sounds like you accusing me of whining.
Yes, exactly.
He accused Trump. Here's the tweet from Michael Savage. Limbaugh's crying about his cancer on air. The worst 15 minutes in radio history. Spilled a large coffee all over the counter and the floor. I promise my audience this. I will not drag you down with me. Best wishes, Rush, but stop and leave the stage with dignity. I'm telling you, I like, feuds, radio feuds. You and I have been through plenty. That's insane. That Michael Savage, he's old and he's not going to be around much longer either. But he could not have heard it. Because even if you hate Rush, you have to admit that someone doing what he did was not bad radio. It was not the worst 15 minutes in radio history.
I think Savage has always had a thing with Rush. He just always shits on Rush. But Savage just left radio this year. He's launching his own podcast. It's a completely calculated move on his part because now, for once in his career, he has to build his own fan base on social media and shake the trees a little bit so he can get people over to his podcast, as opposed to being on radio where he's on 500 fucking radio.
I understand. He's looking for attention, but that's not good attention. I mean, it's not just right wingers, which is the only people who are going to listen to him. It's everybody who sees that and says, what is wrong with you, man? The guy was pouring his heart out.
Oh, it's a horrible thing. But if he says, like, God bless Rush Limbaugh, is anybody going to subscribe to his podcast? Maybe that at least.
You're going to subscribe to his podcast for that? What he just did?
Weird. There's some weird people. I hate the fucking guy, but I don't know. There's some weird people. It's publicity for a guy. He's trying to build something.
But if you're relying on relying on that to get your podcast off the ground, I think the podcast has already failed. I would say.
And you know what? You know what the problem is with this, Dave? Is it's not honest. Nobody honestly thinks that was bad radio. You could say the next segment after that, where he was talking about whatever, Hunter Biden. I mean,
that's bad radio.
Right. Reim would say that's bad radio. He's whining, whatever. You can criticize the rest of the show. But 15 minutes, when you're talking about how you know you're going to die soon, the last thing anyone would ever describe that as is bad radio. I don't know. I haven't heard Michael Savage lately. He was always kind of on the edge. He was always kind of a lunatic on the fringe. I guess he's even worse now because that was amazing to me. That was amazingly, I don't even say insensitive. I just find it wrong. I mean, it's just inaccurate. It's not bad radio. It's great radio. Anyway, we don't have time to play. You can find Rush. It's on a podcast if you want to find it. The first 15 minutes, he sounds like a beaten man. He sounds like I hate to say it, a dead man walking, a dead man.
It's amazing
talking.
He's still doing his radio show. You
know what he says, Alex, in this 15 minutes? He says he was supposed to be dead by October 1st. And he's like, I can't believe I'm still sitting here doing my show on October 19th. It's not a good thing. When you have stage 4 lung cancer, you don't generally get a long time to do radio or talk or walk or live. I mean, I think he's beaten the odds so far, but he's not going to beat them for much longer. That was clear from yesterday's podcast or yesterday's show. And pretty soon, in fact, I talked to someone in the business, and this is insensitive, but I'll just tell you what they said. He's involved in syndication. He says there are 600 stations right now, all wondering what they're going to do from noon to 3. There's not a logical successor. You know, Cullinane knows this. He knows people in the business. There's not that guy ready to step in, you know, like Tucker stepped in for Bill O'Reilly. There's not a guy. I would think maybe Mark Levin.
Because all the guys are already established, like doing their own thing now. They're not going to shake the trees on some of their other, you know what I mean? Like they're like a Ben Shapiro's not going to slide into something like that.
No, I mean, that's a step down for him to go from podcast to terrestrial radio, right? I mean, that's the thing. All these new rising.
He's already done it. He's part of his podcast is on terrestrial radio, but it's not on 600 stations. Yeah. He might be the guy, but Mark Levin, I think, wants to be the guy, but he's old and he wants to go from nights to noon to 3. But he's 65. I mean,
I would say just like if they have a brain on their head and they follow what's going on social media and on the internet, I would beg and plead for Dan Bongino to do a radio show. Say that, but you know what? His podcast. That's what I would do.
Dan Bongino could step into that noon to 3. He's 45 and he's got all kinds of energy, and that would work. He's got cancer too. He's got diagnosed with lymphoma, so he's battling cancer. So I don't know. You know what? It'll probably be. Whatever, Mark Stein filling in for a while until they figure it out. But it is an interesting question. Who steps in for Rush? I know it's insensitive. He's still alive. He's still kicking. He still does a good show. But
sad way to end the podcast today. Why don't we all just drop our pants and turn up the heat in here?
I thought
already ahead of you.
How about an excuse? I thought the camera was off.
Yeah.
So you're sitting there at your desk. And you think the camera's off, and you think this is a good time to give it a grab. I mean,
yeah, why not? Sometimes you have to. I mean, again, when you're simulating, Jerry, the election. I mean, that's the most perverted thing about this. It was during some like weird election day simulation, right? Where Jeffrey Toobin was playing the courts, and like Jane Mayer was playing the Republicans, and it was so weird.
So you think the fact that in the simulation that Biden won, you think it got him aroused?
Well, it's a disputed election. That's what they were simulating. They were simulating the disputed election, right?
Courts. That's right. Good point.
Yeah, Toobin was the courts. Yeah.
And Amy Coney Barrett was the deciding vote, and we have Trump for 4 more years. I don't think he'd want to spank it to that. But anyway, it's fun watching the downfall of this scumbag tube steak Toobin. I will enjoy it, and so will lots of other people, including, you know, people in his personal life that know what an asshole he is. But anyway, Reimer, you can find Reimer on, what is it, Substack?
Yeah, subscribe to my Substack, reimer.substack.com. If you want to be generous, pay to subscribe, $5 a month or $30 a year. And find me everywhere else.
Find him on Forbes and on sports.
Outsports, not out
else.
pick. Outsports. There you go.
He's not always as unhinged as he is with me. This is we get the Reim, we get the crazy unhinged.
Yeah, this is
Reim,
fun. I like being on with you. It's
which is why we have you here, even though you don't have a lot of answers. You just do a lot of whining, but that's okay. All right, Reimer, thanks, man. We will talk to you next week. Enjoy the rigged debate on Thursday.
It's going to be insane. I bet you Trump yell. He's definitely going to yell over while he's muted.
Good.
There's no doubt.
Good.
No doubt.
Should. Yeah. Who doesn't want it to go off the rails? Who wants a nice, civilized, polite debate? Nobody wants that.
The Pence Kamala debate was the most boring thing ever. No, give me.
Well, you didn't like it because Pence killed her, but that's just wouldn't be in Trump's nature to behave. We need him to be himself. He's on a roll. I think he's on a roll. I think this week the numbers are shifting. I feel good again. Maybe tomorrow I'll feel differently. Right now I feel good. All right, so just go away now, Reimer. Don't ruin it for me, would you? All right, thanks to Reimer, and thanks to DCU and Allied Paving, and thanks to Shea Concrete, and thanks to Raycon. What else, Cullinane? We get everything on my list.
Yeah, rate, review, subscribe. What else? Didn't I send you? I don't know. I think we hit all the story. We didn't really hit the Aiken thing, but hey, not a big deal. We
no. Alex said I was enraged.
Yeah.
Quote is the one.
Enraged. I mean,
clip that. I want that clip and tweet it out.
I will.
I love flyovers. I must admit, flyovers are cool, and I never thought, it was wasting taxpayers' money because these guys, that's what they do all day. They fly around. They use up gas all day, and occasionally we get to enjoy it. We get to see them. And I never knew that Aikman and Buck were a couple of liberals, a couple of pantywaist liberals. These hot mics, man, they're catching a lot of stuff lately. I'm enjoying these hot mic phenomenon in the Zoom age. But all right, that's it. I'm Jerry Callahan. This is the Callahan Podcast, and we will talk to you again tomorrow.